Oh, it's just a plain washer. One thing I did notice, I think I'd mentioned earlier that I hoped that the horn would fit behind this oil tank, but it actually doesn't. It's rubbing, or it's just hitting on this pipe here. So all I've done, I've just relocated it under the seat actually, and it fits just fine. I've just put the seat on and it fits quite easily under there. There's a lot of space. So the next thing will be to just dry fit this and then figure out how the pipes are going to fit from here through the frame and then down to the pipes on the other side. But yeah, I've got to this point now where I'm really liking this bike. It's lovely, isn't it? I really like the simplicity of the design. I love the black and the alloy. It's very clean looking as well. It's a really nice looking bike. That was loose. Oh gosh, that was loose as well. I'm just straightening the ends of this hose pipe for the carburetor to the air filter. It just looks a little bit messy on the bike otherwise. Whoop. Good. There's actually some oil in these forks. That's a little. They are certainly longer than the original ones, which look a little neater, but I must say they work much, much better than the old ones. I didn't actually replace this one because the thread on the old nipples, the Zerk fittings, is actually shorter than the new fitting, and I didn't want this thread to go in too far and interfere with the brake. So I've just left this one as it is. Well, unfortunately, I woke up to this morning. I don't know if you can see it, but there's quite a lot of oil on the lift, and it's coming from under the gearbox. So next job will be to take this gearbox outer cover off and see if we can put a better gasket or some sealant on there. I do need a new clutch cable anyway at some point. Oh yeah, it's loose. So loose. just going to put this outer gearbox cover on the surface plate just to make sure that it's nice and square and flat. It does rock a little. Oh yeah. Here's the gearbox as well, and I've gone round again with the outside case edges and this edge with acetone just to clean it all up. And now I'm just going to wait for about 5 minutes. Please don't leak. While I let this gasket cement set, I'm going to start tackling some of the mechanical aspects of the service. And so the first job is to check the tappets, the valve clearance on this bike. It should be nil clearance, meaning that I should just be able to turn the push rods with my fingers, and bearing in mind this engine it's room temperature, so it's not warm but it's not cold, so I'll take that into account and maybe allow a little bit more clearance when I set this. It might be a little tappety, but then we can always readjust later on once the bike's running. I'm going to start by removing the spark plug so that I can turn the engine over using the rear wheel. Okay, I haven't had this cover off before, so hopefully there's some valve gear inside of here. These are very nice. Looks like there's new washers here, so possibly has been off in the recent past. Whew. Okay, good. Oh my gosh. Okay, that might need adjusting. As might that one. Okay, let's get to TDC, top dead center. I'm just going to stick the bike in gear so that I can turn the engine over using the rear wheel. Okay, the bike is in 4th gear, and I'm just going to turn the rear wheel with the bike in gear until I can feel like a compression stroke. Okay, here it comes. All right, I'm just going to get on the ladders and look in here just to see if I can see the piston, because the last thing I want to do is drop the pencil down in there. Okay, I can see the piston coming up now in the bore, and it gave that pop, so it's pushing air out. So now I've got this pencil here. I've lost my tool actually. What I have is like a spark plug attachment that goes in here with a little gauge that pops up and tells you how far up you are. So I'm gonna, oop, that's quite a way down there. I want to get up to the blue mark, which I think is around top dead center. So let's try that. So moving the wheel forward while this pencil is in here. Being real careful not to nip it. Okay, I've felt it. It's just touching the bottom of the pencil now. And then hopefully you can see that little blue line. So I'm just tapping the wheel forward very, very lightly. And you see the blue line is just raised above the head. Still going to top dead center. Feels like it's just crested there. Yeah, it's going down now. So I'm going to turn the wheel back to pull it back up to top dead center. Yeah, and it's on its way back down there now. So let's go up again. And this is just approximate. Flywheel's working against me. There. Okay, that's very close. I mean, the valves should be closed now regardless. And then we'll also do a fine-tune adjustment of the tappets once the bike's running. So I'm going to call that as top dead center. Inlet here and then exhaust here. Both valves should be closed now, and this is where we should do the adjustment. So let's just see what the... Oh yeah, see, that's significantly too slack. This one here, this one's actually, that was probably right, actually. I feel that that might be right. I can just sort of, there's a little bit of up and down movement, but there shouldn't be any. But you should be able to spin it with your fingers. This is a lot like the Vincent, actually, setting the valve clearance. What we're seeing is even the, maybe the lock nut, oh, the lock nut is tight, actually. I thought maybe the lock nut wasn't tight, but the lock nut, if I'm not mistaken, it should be there, like this one, instead of up here. So that's the lock nut undone, and we're going to tighten up a little bit. Okay, I think that's the valve or the tappet adjustments completed for now anyway. Here are the adjusters, and I've tightened up the locking nuts now. It does spin quite freely, but it doesn't move up and down at all. I can't even feel that. Same with this as well. No movement up or down, but it does turn quite freely with my finger. This one less than this one that I've just adjusted, but that should be it. So I'm just going to kick it over a couple of more times just to make sure that it feels like it's right. And then I'll put the cover back on, and that will be the valve adjustment completed. The next job will be to check that we have a spark at the spark plug from the magneto. What do you think, guys? Is there one? The chain is pretty worn, so I'm going to replace the chain. That's the rear wheel off the bike, and I'm relatively unscathed. That's a heavy wheel. So I'm just looking at the brake drum, and I see that the brake shoes are pretty glazed. And in fact, you'll see on this one here that some of the rivets are actually missing. So what I'll do is I'll order a new set of brake shoes. But in the meantime, I'll just scuff these up and clean them with some sandpaper and then clean them off with some brake cleaner. Also managed to get rid of some of the overspray on this chain guard. The wheel bearings seem to be in good condition and are turning quite freely, but I'll add some grease here. This is the old Zerk fitting again. I'll remove that and add a modern fitting. So for future, it will be a lot easier to grease this rear hub. Put the wheel back on the bike now, and I've noticed a few little problems. The first one being it's got a little bit of a kick out, well actually quite a bit, when I spin the wheel, and so I've just put this dial gauge indicator here. I've set it to 0 and put a line there on the rim, and then if we turn the rim you'll see how far out it is. It's quite a bit. So we've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 thousandths out, 100 thousandths nearly. Yep, 100 thousandths, and then back to 0, and then again. Something in the tube as well, 60, 70. Quite a bit out. So I might ask a friend for some help with tightening up or changing these spokes. So if I remove this completely, you'll get a good idea of what it looks like. The other thing is, while it does spin freely, there's a problem with one or both bearings in here. Okay. Well, this wheel needs to come off anyway because we need to get a new rear tyre. So when I take it off again, we will change the bearings and check all the hardware thoroughly and replace if necessary. We are getting closer, guys.